are ranking Shakespeare's plays by magnitude of adaptability to the Western genre. An investigation by me, Millen Shakespeare enthusiast and award-winning public speaker. A foreword. Notes before we begin. By Western genre, I'm referring to the movie subtype that tells stories set in the American West during the 19th and early 20th centuries, henceforth referred to as quote-unquote Western without capitalization. Please note that I'm only covering the plays that are most generally agreed upon to have been written by Shakespeare, as there are a few other plays whose authorship is debated, and there's an entire debate about if any of these plays were authored by Shakespeare at all, whether or not he was real, his true identity, etc. There's a whole thing. Some people think Queen Elizabeth I wrote them all. Don't know how or why they did that. But
I've heard the Francis Bacon one.
My money's on Sir Francis Bacon. If Shakespeare doesn't exist, it's Sir Francis Bacon.
Yes. I didn't do any research for this besides looking up a list of all of Shakespeare's plays and basic summaries. I don't have time to read all of them. Like, some might actually be good that I think are bad. It's entirely possible some of these have already been adapted into a Western. So yeah, art is subjective, nothing is real, yada yada yada. Also, as it turns out, this was a slide that I made later on because I got tired. There's a lot of plays that Shakespeare has done. So I am completely skipping The Two Noble Kinsmen, Two Gentlemen of Verona, Edward III, Timon of Athens, Titus Andronicus, Midsummer Night's Dream, Henry VI, Henry VIII, Richard III, Antony and Cleopatra, Hamlet, and I feel like I'm forgetting another one, but I didn't know what was happening at the time. Your boy is tired.
This is the syllabus for my Shakespeare class this quarter.
I'm taking a Shakespeare class this quarter.
I have to take a major author course for my major, and this is the syllabus.
Yes, hi.
Did you do Winter's Tale?
I did do Winter's Tale. I'm taking a Shakespeare class, I believe it is, this semester, that is comedies and histories, and I unintentionally kind of focused on those.
We should
I can see, because you don't have it.
Yes. There's another class that they offer that's romances and tragedies, and I want to try and get into that senior year. Let us go, lesbians. Let us go. So, I didn't number any of these slides. What I did was I basically wrote out, I named each slide with a play, went and filled it out, and then went from there and organized them. So, all of these could maybe work as Westerns, and by Western I mean cowboys and horses and rootin' and tootin', being shootin'. Oh, I have that meme in there. So yeah. Cymbeline. I can't even tell you what Cymbeline is about. I think it's like some play where it's about this British king and his sons die and his daughter wants to marry a commoner, but he's like, no, you're my only heir, so you have to marry a royal so that you can have royal babies, and there's a whole bunch of things. As you can see, I didn't care about this slide at all because there's just a hanging bullet point. Yeah, so many of these plays involve cross-dressing of some kind as a way of disguising one's identity for witness protection reasons. I didn't know what was happening in this play. I don't think it could work as a Western at all. There's no. Here's where the Winter's Tale is. The tone shifts in this play, I tell you. The first 3 acts are so drama, and then the last 2 is just oh, haha, JK, unless. This man, he makes life so bad for himself. Why? His wife is it's about this guy who, his best friend is some other king. He's a king, his best friend is some other king. The king wants to go, the best friend comes and visits. And it's hey, I want to go home. I miss my son. I want to go home. And the king is no, I want you to stay, bro. Come on, bro, please. Can you just extend your vacation by a week, bro? And so he gets his wife to talk to the guy, and his wife does a real good job of convincing the guy to stay, so he's that's it, they must be fucking. And then he proceeds to spend 3 acts trying to prove that, I'm pretty sure people die.
Yeah, he sends the daughter that his wife had given birth to away.
His daughter away. Because he's like, oh, this child is clearly not my child. Be gone, thought. And there's just a bunch of weird stuff where he sends his daughter away. And then there's something about his daughter falls in love with his best friend's son. So that's a whole thing. And it's just like, why? It wouldn't work as a Western. It barely works as it is. I don't like this fight. I'm so sorry. Is this your favorite?
No, it's not my favorite, but I liked it, like, kind of ironically.
Okay.
Like, it was a bop. It's not that good, but it was a bop.
I've noticed that quite a few of Shakespeare's plays have the same things happening. Two noble kinsmen and Two Gentlemen of Verona are like the same play. It's annoying. Yeah, Shakespeare did. His first play was The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And if Verona sounds familiar, because that's where Romeo and Juliet is set, because this guy is not original. Measure for measure, hot take, I think this play is stupid. It's so bad. This duke or somebody leaves town, and so he makes his secretary in charge, and the secretary just wants to get into this girl's pants. So he decides to use his political power to get into this girl's pants, and no, I don't care if your boss is a deus ex machina. Sit down, Angelo. Sit. And there's stuff, I think, like the girl's sibling, she thinks he's dead, but like he isn't. And of course the Duke, the actual guy, comes back and he's just like, what the heck are you doing? And like things have to get fixed. They would definitely try to make this into a Western, but only as like a vehicle for the actors. Kind of like how there's like a bunch of movies where it's like John Wayne was in like a shit ton of movies, and like most of them aren't great, but it's like, John Wayne, you're gonna go because you want to see John Wayne. You don't care what the plot is. You know your play is bad when the Iliad adaptation is a better version. The Iliad adaptation is still bad though, because it's called Troilus and Cressida. Troilus and Cressida are both Trojans and want to get with each other, but they can't because the Trojan War is going on, and they're side characters in their own play because the play is about the whole Achilles Hector bullshit. And there's fight scenes, which is fun, but it's also long and boring, and the ending is really weird because it just like ends. Just ends. And it's not about plot, it's just rehashing the Iliad, and it's not even a fix-it fic. Like, it doesn't do anything. King John is one of his histories. Shakespeare was commissioned to do a bunch of histories about the lineage, like the ancestors of Queen Elizabeth and King James, as kind of like a, promoting a history and things. So there's a whole bunch of history stuff in here, and King John is not good. If you ever watched Robin Hood, the Disney Robin Hood with the furries, we're talking about that King John in there, and he's good exactly nowhere. Not a good king. His mother is so cool. Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine is so freaking cool. She was married to the King of France, but they got divorced because she didn't have any sons. And then she got married to the King of England and had sons. Merchant of Venice. Welcome to a play about financial law and also anti-Semitism, where the romantic plot ties into the finance plot with drag queens who are lawyers and doing their best to be Elle Woods. Literally, that's what happens. If you or someone you know has been wronged by Venetian merchants, you're entitled to substantial compensation. And I was actually going to rank this higher, but then I read farther into the summary on Wikipedia, and the anti-Semitic guy is a hero and forces the Jewish guy to convert to Christianity and give up all of his stuff anyways. It's Shakespeare bad. Comedy bears.
I love
be
comedy
rootin',
bears.
be tootin', by God be shootin'. Most of all, be kind. It's about two sets of twins who are separated from each other at birth, so they're raised as fraternal and not identical. It's all guys. It's like identical boys, where they swap so they look different, so they're fraternal. Get into shenanigans, because two of them show up at the other guy's city and house, and everyone thinks, oh wow, you look exactly the same as these guys. You must be these guys. Insert them into their life when it's not their life. It's more slapstick. I'm pretty sure there's a Hollywood version of this. Some famous actresses who I can't remember their names. And the identical twins have the same name. It's like something with an A and something with a D of Sparta, and then something, same thing of other city. It's too slapstick for a Western, and it wouldn't really take advantage of the era. Because you can have slapstick in your Westerns, but slapstick in Westerns is usually as like a shorter thing. You wouldn't have like an entire movie that's slapstick Western, at least not in my opinion. It would have to have more meat to it, and this is just a Laurel and Hardy skit. Romeo and Juliet, this would work 1,000,000%, but it's been done to death, and I'm tired of it, so I'm docking points for that. This was the first slide I made. We knew this would happen. I knew that I was going to give this nothing. Mercutio and Benvolio would be so great in little cowboy clothes. And the prince would be some U.S. Marshal or something, but also a cow. And the friar is also the town doctor, which explains why people die for silly reasons. Because in the West, they love to have, kings with multiple jobs. So your priest was probably your doctor.
It sounds like the 90s R&J one with Leo DiCaprio, directed by Baz Luhrmann.
Yes.
It's my favorite adaptation.
I haven't actually seen it.
It's so good.
I'm a Kenneth Branagh Shakespeare
It's
boy.
like word for word, really accurate.
I know, it's so good. Much Ado About Nothing. And speaking of Kenneth Branagh adaptations, Much Ado About Nothing. This would be a very boring Western. It would be a very boring Western, trust me. I realize now that I should have put more pictures and probably transitions, because you're just staring at me. It would be a great musical. Musical Westerns, cool. Musical Westerns are so cool. But it would also be really boring. Because it's about, dude, his friend wants to get with this girl, and he has the most ridiculous, rivals to lovers energy with that girl's sister. They're just constantly bantering, and it's very clear. The sexual tension is through the roof, and everybody agrees upon this, and they refuse to acknowledge it because they don't want to admit that they like each other, except they do. And did I mention that there's a whole thing where the sister, not the banter one, the sweet demure one, is told that her lover cheats on her or something, so she pretends to die, puts on her wedding gown and stuff, but with a veil, because he still has to get married. So they're like, yes, you're gonna marry this random woman. We don't know who she is. Your girlfriend's dead.
I think they say it's her cousin.
Yeah,
that looks exactly like Hero. Whoa.
And shows up out of nowhere. Who knows? So I can't remember if he doesn't want to go through with it because he's like, no, I still love her actually, or something like that. But either way, she's like, surprise, it was me all along.
I really like how you explain that as if Benedict and Beatrice are the main plot and the other two are the subplot.
Because it's switch. Benedict and Beatrice are side characters, but they're so much
but it's the best part.
It's the best part.
They
should be the main characters. Unlike Troilus and Cressida.
One description I heard of Much Ado About Nothing was about Benedict and Beatrice is that they're two Kinsey Fives making it work.
They are. And then we have Othello, which I could really see this one working. I could actually see this one working. It would be a nice, kind of quieter drama type thing.
Black Cowboy.
Could definitely have Black Cowboy. It's sad, it's messy. It could ostensibly work as a Western, but I think the original setting adds more than making a Western would. I don't feel like making a Western would add anything, except for exploring the treatment of black men in the West. Yeah, we're getting to the part where everything's kind of me making the, I guess, face. Merry Wives of Windsor is weird. It's a comedic spin-off of a beloved side character from a history play. And that's fun for the franchise energy. That guy tries to get with 2 different married women. They're not having it. Their husbands aren't having it. So everybody decides to play increasingly ridiculous pranks on this old man. And when they eventually reveal everything was a prank, he's just like, oh, funny prank, guys, cool. And then they all go to a wedding together. Amazing. Yeah, and there's more drag shenanigans, because everything is drag. All's well that ends well. Is... I guess it would be a good Western. Like, technically it would be a good Western. It's just a distracted boyfriend meme. Literally. Play involves a guy who doesn't want to bone his wife being tricked by his wife and his girlfriend into boning his wife. I don't know why, if you're dating a married guy, why are you gonna trick him into boning his wife? Shouldn't you be tricking him into boning you?
Happy wife, happy life.
Sure. It's morally weird. Shakespeare would rather have morally gray areas and complex ethical dilemmas, despite the concerns of the audience, the critics, me at 8 a.m. Tempest. That would be a really great musical Western. Bonus points for it having a character named Miranda in it, and my favorite gender non-conforming fairy, Ariel. But Wikipedia says it might actually be about colonizers, which is not fun. But you could definitely have some, like, ranch stuff sticking in, like, Idaho or something. Oh, no.
No.
Twelfth Night. Delicious. Finally, some good food. Now, this would be a good Western picture. She's a man, but Western. Finally, we can explore the history of cowboys. The West was so full of instances of FTM people, either so they can make money or because they really were trans. A lot of drag king things. A lot. And there's so much. There's literally so many times in the Wikipedia where it's like, yes, female character must disguise herself as a boy and give herself a different name. I'm like, you want to unpack that, Shakespeare? You want to talk about that, Shakespeare? Taming of the Shrew. I don't want to rank this one high, but I also think it would work really well as a Western comedy. This is the one where the guy psychologically tortures his wife into obeying him. That's it. That's the plot. He marries a headstrong, independent girl boss and starves her until she is forced to obey everything he says. And then the end of the thing is he wins a bet because him and his friends are like, oh, our wives wouldn't do this thing. And then he's like, yeah, I bet my wife would. So they do the thing, and his wife, of course, does it because, torture. And, yay. This one, Love's Labor's Lost, would work as a Western. We have an ensemble of the king and his 3 friends. We have a matching ensemble of ladies, a princess, and her 3 friends. They mentioned that the king is the king of, this part of Spain, and she's the princess of France. Local king and his friends decide no 3-year time span because they're nerds. They're like, yes, we're going to swear off the company of women so we can study fast. And then they immediately meet these pretty ladies, and they're just like, oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, why do we have to be hot nerds?
Too hot to handle.
Henry V, more historical battles. This would probably be pretty fun. There are a lot of Westerns that I have seen. Some context I should have given for this was that during quarantine, we've been watching a lot of Westerns because there's this network TV channel that plays Westerns and stuff. We just have it on while we eat dinner. So I've been watching a lot of Westerns, and a lot of them have to do with fictionalizing historical battles and things. So this would probably work. I could see it happening. Pericles. That is the face Pericles makes all the time. If you thought the Odyssey was ridiculous, meet Pericles. So much happens to this poor man. So much happens to him. He's constantly traveling everywhere. He thinks his wife dies. Then his wife didn't die. He just accidentally shipwrecked her. It's fine. It's okay. It's ancient Greece. They didn't have phones. And there's the fourth, both parts. Yes, Bibble. Yes, I love this play so much. It would work so well. It would do so great. Oh, did I mention that I'm pretty sure the man fallen from grace is that weird old man in Love Labor's Lost? Whichever, the one where it was like everybody tries to prank the old man. This is the old man. He is in here. This also has the bonus points of it could work as like for a younger audience because it follows like a teen child.
So many Bibble pictures.
This is the last Bibble picture. I just put them next to each other. And my only metric for this is that the Weird Sisters would be so fun in a Western, and that's the only reason this got so high. As You Like It, my favorite play of his. It's so good. It's so very gendered. The costume possibilities would be amazing. The song scene would be so lovely around a campfire at night. This could work so great. My favorite part of this is the lovesick love interest. He's exiled to a forest, and so he bides his time by sticking really, really bad love poems onto the trees so that everybody knows how much he loves his girl. And it's great, and then his girl shows up in drag, and she says like, oh, see, this is nice, but like if you really wanted to woo me, I mean if you wanted to woo her, not them saying I'm her, I just know a lot, like my uncle taught me how to be a playa. So here's what you're gonna do. We're gonna meet up every day and you're gonna try and seduce me and I'm gonna tell you if it worked or not.
What a way to flirt.
Literally.
Love it.
It's so good.
So good.
And Coriolanus isn't a very well-known play, but it worked as a Western. And that guy in the red cape is Coriolanus. He's great at military stuff, I think, for the Romans, and he tries to be a consul, but he also hates people and thinks that he thinks he's better than he is. So then he switches sides and takes revenge on Rome alongside the army he once defeated, which is fun, and I like the vibes of this painting. King Lear would be delightful as a Western. It's a sad little play. It's so sad. Everybody dies. You can make it a ranch instead of a kingdom. King Lear has to give he's like, yes, my 3 daughters, come tell me how much you love me, and I will decide who gets their share of the inheritance. And so the 2 bitches who lie actually get things, and then he finds out that they lied, and then the one girl who actually does love him also dies, and then he dies. And then the play ends with some random side character implying that he's gonna take the crown instead. He's not even related to them. So, like, he doesn't... Yeah. The concept of Julius Caesar as Western is just them. And I don't know about you, but I want it. And I think that is the best possible play. Okay, I'm done again. Thank you for letting me info about Shakespeare, Westerns. If anybody has questions.
It's a nice blending of interests.
Very wonderful.
I probably this would have been like 10 times better if I actually tried.
It's entertaining. Oh, Holmes is at my door.
Miranda?
Maybe.
It's possible.
It's
The pizza man?
Miranda is
Miranda's back?
Miranda?
Miranda?
I say to let me open the door before I talk to you. We just finished? Should I leave?
Yeah, leave. Go.
Come here, you fool.
You fool.
You fool.
Wow.
For you.
saw the Snapchat about pen spin.
What is this?
A pen.
We audio recorded.
Yes.
Wait, did you
DJs.
specially make pens?
Yeah.
She's distracted by the pen.
DJ's and mine. I just finished mine. And DJ made us all pen spinning pens.
Yeah, and none of us can do it yet.
And we're gonna try again after.
Yay! What was yours about?
Ranking Shakespeare plays by how likely I think a adaptation of them into Western cowboy stuff would work.
God, I'm so sad I missed that.
Well, it's all recorded.
Do it
so.
again. From the beginning.
Show something.
All right, everyone, once again from the top.